Stop. You are entering the Groove Lounge. Only groovers allowed. Are you going to feel my groove? Enter.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. Well, everyone knows people always call my name. What is it about? But do they want my brain? Oh, my feet, my memory. Get on down, Sesame Street song. Oh, yeah. Well, change is always coming. Is that why I'm like an Englishman running? When I'm feeling good like bugs. I didn't slow down, Bill.
You guys know more about his lyrics than I do. I can tell you that now, because I was more interested in the overall structure of a song and phrasing and refrains and breaks and solos and stuff, which is what I had to learn at the time in the studio. I wasn't there to listen to the lyrics as such, you know.
Yeah. But I bet that means now that you've had time to reflect, and does that mean you've revisited some of Marc's words and lyrics and poetry? And do they mean different things to you now?
They quite honestly, I haven't. I'll be honest with you. You know, I mean, I know a lot of his lyrics, but I've never really sat down and looked at the lyrics of a song and tried to put them together and try and find out and understand what he was in his head. Maybe he put things together which sounded appropriate. I don't really know, Barry. I'm really not the one to. You guys out there, the fans, probably get their own idea of what he was on about. I never really got into that at all.
No worries. And great answer. Thank you for that. Thank you for being direct. Listening to the outtakes of you working in the studio with the band, and there are lots of them around now through Easy Action and people like that. The atmosphere and the way you were working seemed to be very collegiate and inclusive, whereas when you read accounts of the studio work at times, it was perhaps described as different to that. How would you describe the studio work and how much you enjoyed that, etc.?
Well, Marc had a lot of stuff going on in his head at the time, and it was when we would go in the studio. Let's put it this way: we had no idea what we were going to do.
Fantastic.
I think Marc kept it to himself. It's not as though we all had demos to listen to and get the songs in our head. I mean, I've been told that Marc made many acoustic demos. Stuff that he later recorded. It did them at home, but we never got hold of them. I never. It was almost like he had his ideas, and when we was in the studio, we just had to fall into line and come up with what he wanted, without really ever having listened to the stuff beforehand. I mean, I used to go in the studio. I never knew what I was going to record half the time. We'd go in there and we would spend a bit of time standing around going through stuff, which is what we did. And as you know, that Marc was very prolific with his songwriting and his ideas, and they were spontaneous and they were good and they were powerful, which is great. There's something to be said for that, you know. It added to my frustration when, after we'd actually laid some tracks down and he was happy with them, I would go back and say, look, I'll come up with an idea for this or for that, and Marc would say, no, that's fine, that's great, that's, you know, and that was my frustration, you know, the fact that I probably come up with one or two ideas afterwards.
Yeah, and you've done some remixes and things, haven't you, since, which are really quite interesting. We play a lot of the outtakes and the demos on the show, and it's great to sort of, in a sense, understand the evolution of some of the tracks and the different ways they've turned out. Did it strike you at the time? Did it sink in that you were, the drummer in what was then Britain's top band, and therefore you're the best drummer in Britain at that time? How did that feel?
I never looked on it like that at all. I never. I mean, whenever I do anything, whether it's my artwork, or playing drums, or playing football when I was a kid, or whatever, I'd go out there and I would appreciate how good other people were. and I would try and learn from them by looking and listening. But I would never sort of have the audacity to think that I was the absolute best at anything, but I'd certainly go out there and give it my best. And it'd be great when people turn around and say, "Oh, that's really good. That's a nice piece of artwork. Oh, how did you do that break in that song?" You know, and you know, and you played a great game. And I remember when you scored this goal. I think it's great when people say that, but I would never have the audacity to think that I was the best at anything. But I would always do the best I could, and I always listen and look and watch the best at what they do, so that I can learn from them. And that's still my attitude, you know. Even with all that stuff behind me, you're only as good as your last gig, as it were, you know. But it's good to look back and reflect and learn from what you do. And yeah, sure, you know your value and you know your worth of what you do. But you know, you don't sit back and think, "Oh, that's it," you know. You go out and you still try and achieve and attain a good quality, a good standard of whatever you do in life.
Absolutely.
And even now when I'm playing, you know, if I sit down and I play some T.Rex songs like we did the other day at Aberdeen, you know, I'd go into them and play them like I'm recording. Like I don't think, I've done this so many times before, it's a dollar. I still rehearse the breaks. I still go back and listen to what I did. And that's always been my attitude, and it always will be.
It's a fantastic mantra to an ethos to live by for anybody, I guess.
You can bump and grind 'cause it's good for your mind. Tune in to Groove Lounge to let it all hang out, baby. The show sponsored by Easy Action.